According to fire officials, the fire started at about 7 p.m. Friday at the boys' dormitory. It happened on the blind side of school authorities while students were attending evening prayers. Fire officers defied attacks and heckling by residents to prevent the fire from spreading. DO3 Desmond Aka is the public relations officer at the Ashanti Command.
On Friday, 8 October 2021, at exactly 7:30, we got a distress call from Calix Senior High, that their boys' dormitory block A was involved in the fire outbreak. So quickly we had to dispatch our fire attendant at that got to the fire scene at 7:35.
So inside the school campus, this serves as a place where they sell food and other items for the students. And the misunderstanding that ensued started from here. This is where the students were stabbed, and so you can see the blood stains on the ground and over there. And this is where he slumped after being stabbed by the students.
So we came to the dormitory and we saw that the Form 3 students...
This student witnessed the incident.
They caught one Form 1 and they hold his shirt that he should remove the shirt for him. And the boy was saying that he would not do it. He was challenging the Form 2s. So they got angry and one removed belt that he used to lash the Form 1 student. So I saw that Tupac, the one who was holding the knife, removed the knife and he used to choke Sabat. So we saw that he has fallen down here and the blood was flowing.
Police say the deceased, Samuna Laram, was stabbed after preventing the suspect from slapping one of his colleagues. DSP Osei Edwajiman is Konongo District Police Commander.
The deceased, who was stabbed, was rushed to Konongo Master Government Hospital. But unfortunately, on his arrival, the doctors pronounced him dead. We have 5 suspects arrested.
Though calm has returned to the school, police say they intend to patrol the campus to maintain sanity.
We want to maintain patrol throughout the night, today, tomorrow, for 1 week, at least, to avert any such dangers.
Headmaster of the school, Dr. Benjamin Kwekuba, is pledging the school's support in police investigations.
I want to assure the public that the school will give its maximum support towards the investigation of the case.
Meanwhile, family of the deceased are seeking justice, but uncle of the slain Samuna Laram, Abubakar Lamin, has this message for the suspect.
Where he has sent the boy, he will also definitely go there. Killing is not the solution of everything. Patience is the way to go.
4 second-year students have also been arrested to assist in investigations. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Konongo, Ashanti region.
Chiramu, say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chiramu. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chiramu, say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chiramu. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chiramu, say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chiramu. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chiramu, say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chiramu. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chiramu, say we a bad girl, but who you life? Slow. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chilamu. Chilamu say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chilamu. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chilamu say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chilamu. Bad girl, Lina. Bad girl. Chilamu say we a bad girl, but who you life? Chilamu.
So this was where it happened.
Okay.
Were you at the police station? Come.
So inside the school campus, this serves as a place where they sell food and other items for the students. And the misunderstanding that ensued started from here. This is where the student was stabbed, and so you can see the blood stains on the ground and over there. And this is where he slumped after being stabbed by the students.
So we came to the dormitory and we saw that the Form 3 students.
This student witnessed the incident.
They caught one Form 1 and they hold his shirt that he should remove the shirt for him. And the boy was saying that he would not do it. He was challenging the Form 2s. So they got angry and one removed belt that he used to lash the Form 1 student. So I saw that Tupac, the one who was holding the knife, removed the knife and he used to choke Sabat. So we saw that he has fallen down here and the blood was flowing.
Police say the deceased, Sam Una Laram, was stabbed after preventing the suspect from slapping one of his colleagues. DSP Osei Edwajiman is Konongo District Police Commander.
The deceased who was stabbed was rushed to Konongo Government Hospital. But unfortunately, on his arrival, the doctors pronounced him dead. You know, we have 5 suspects arrested.
Though calm has returned to the school, police say they intend to patrol the campus to maintain sanity.
We want to maintain patrol throughout the night, today, tomorrow, for 1 week.
On Love 99.5, my name is Nana Jantuah. I shall be your host as usual tonight, and we are here to talk about a very important issue. Why is this topic very necessary? Because indiscipline may be said to be as old as the time when men started to organize himself into society and consequently made laws to order the affairs of men in a social setup. In the Holy Scripture, I'm sure you know the story of Cain and how Cain exhibited some form of indiscipline when he was out of envy, murdered his brother Abel in their abode. And we've heard of people engaging in indisciplined behavior on daily basis. Many of our students, junior high school, senior high school, even at the university level, exhibit various forms of indiscipline. And this could be in the form of sometimes arson, murder, attack, robbery. And these acts involve both adults and the youth. But the rate of indiscipline tends to be on the increase in our current dispensation. Africa, as we speak, for that matter, Ghana, is not an exception on this or of this general increase in youngsters' negative attitude to a constituted authority. They do not want to follow a just authority. They don't believe in following rules and regulations. The rate of indiscipline tends to be on an increase despite the various measures taken by successive governments in Ghana to curb the menace among our students so as to bring about a socially stable society. Many times, I'm sure that you've heard of the story of some students who attacked, bullied a senior high school student from one and allegedly murdered that student. We've heard of some instances of cases where students went on rampage and demolished properties belonging to the school. And I'm sure that we read in the newspapers, listening to Love FM and other tabloids, and hear from electronic media of students in the country committing all forms of crimes, ranging from violation of parental regulations to truancy, stealing, assault, robbery, and other socially undesirable behavior. And as we speak, available information shows that our students are most frequently implicated in the acts of indiscipline. That is, every 5 caught for a criminal offense, there's usually a youngster. And so tonight, we want to explore, we want to understand the causes and the effect of indiscipline among students in our second cycle schools. The reason why it is necessary for us to tackle this particular subject, look, we cannot decide to ignore, but the reality is that they start from junior high school, nobody talks to them, nobody disciplines them, because according to the teachers, they are blaming GES. Because of certain restrictions, teachers are not able to punish the students when they go wrong. They get to the senior high school and things are done anyway, anyhow. And that same attitude is transferred when they get to the university. I'm sure that you are aware of certain things that happened some years ago where students who were supposed to be learning embarked on some demonstration destroying properties. Everything that they saw. This is what is happening, the indiscipline in our schools. And I want to ask you as a parent, are you concerned with the news of how senior high school students are misbehaving? Well, we've all been there before. We're all at the senior high school level, and I'm sure that there were things that we did. But if you understand the rate at which our current regime are doing things, it does appear something is wrong somewhere. So tonight on Decision Point, we want to talk about indiscipline and how we can solve it and who is at fault here. The parents, the teachers, the students, or the government. So I want to start today's or tonight's discussion by first speaking to a teacher and also an educational psychologist, Chris Emmanuel Danso, on this very subject of growing indiscipline among students. And we ask, who should be blamed? My name is KWADWO JANTUAH. Welcome to Decision Point. Chris, thank you very much as usual for joining us on Decision Point.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother. And how are you?
I am great, except that I'm quite worried with what is happening in our senior high schools. I have seen it recently in the universities. And it does appear that, look, during our time as students, we had our limits, but it appears these students do not have limits. Why?
Thank you once again, and greetings to our cherished listeners who have made it a point to join us this evening. Yes, when I heard the news that this thing has happened, in the first place, I wasn't surprised because as a psychologist, I've always maintained that there are things that we are doing just some few years ago that are going to create a lot of problems for us in the years to come. When we were in school, hardly will you see this. Homeowing was normal, but we never hear of it going to that extreme to the extent of taking someone's life. We've all been homeowed before. When you go to the secondary school, it was something that was there. But let's ask ourselves, why is it taking this trend now? And I'm going to point out certain things. Tonight I'll be very hard, but that is the truth. In the first place, most parents are neglecting their parental roles in terms of guidance and counseling at home before their wards leave for school. All because, for now, per a government intervention that is giving you the liberty to let your child access quality education at free, most parents think that all they have to do is just get this child the materials and then come the child to school without sitting and advising. If research can go into this, you will see that during our times, before you even move from the house to the school, and because your dad or your mom has to go and squeeze money from somewhere, the sense that they will pump into your head and making you aware of the consequences if you go and mess up is enough to guide your footstep from first year to the final year. But unfortunately, currently, that is not what is happening. Most parents are neglecting this. They care less because, after all, how much are they even spending? Why do they have to even waste time? And so these children go to school and they do whatever they want. Some even are having issues, like the teachers were saying, they are having issues disciplining these children because of a certain government intervention. And for that one, I always say it's not an excuse. Punishment is not the way to go if you want to correct a behavior. But I see the problem emanating from the homes. Because for somebody to pull a knife and then stab a colleague to death, where did he learn it from? Of course, not from the school. We don't teach this in our schools. It is from the home. Things that they saw, things that they've been watching, things that they've been hearing is what is causing this. That is why I sometimes say that where the country is heading towards, until parents start living their lives as before, ensuring strict rules before your ward leaves home for school, the coaching, the mentoring, the advice. If we neglect it because we see that whether we pay or we don't pay, this child will go through the system thanks to a government policy, then we are going to create serious problems for us. And you know what these children think? All they know is that once they are able to make it through JHS and per this policy, they can go to the secondary school at will and then complete. So it's high time we have to look at it again. But for me, the blame should start from the home. We all have been homework before, unless maybe you attended the school outside. But we never went to that extent. So, my brother, it's something we have to look at again. The second thing is that, like I've always maintained, go to our schools, right from the preschool to the universities. How many counseling units, how many psychologists do we have in these schools who can coach and mentor these kids, even if they don't get it at our homes? Zero. All that you know is that you go to a certain school and then they will put their guidance and counseling coordinator. Ask that teacher if he is indeed a professionally trained guidance and counseling coordinator, or he's a psychologist. No. So these children go through the system, and the system fails to go through them. That is why we are having all these characters. Do you think that if there is a counselor in a school who is able to address such issues, or we have a psychologist who is able to cite the student and let them know their reason for being there, I don't think these things will be hearing them. So I've always maintained until we set up this important sex in our school, where we have a psychologist office assigned to this number of schools, make sure that these children are brought up in the way we want them to be in our society. My brother, per things we see on social media, per things we hear, things we watch on the movies, we are going to have worse situation in some few years to come.
Interesting. So I get the impression that the parents are losing their guides. They are not doing something right. What could account for the reasons? Because our parents were on us. They made sure we did the right thing. So what is happening now that parents may not be having such a time to ensure that their children are well comported?
Yes, like I stated earlier on. You see, you were right in saying that during our time, our parents, before you even leave home for school, the kind of talking they will talk to you is enough to guide your footsteps. What will account for parents today not caring? Because why would they even care that much? Some of them don't even know the level the award is now. If you think I'm telling lies, let your team do a survey. Go around and then ask the parents, which level is your award? They don't know. They don't know. Because a government brought a very good policy that will help ease the burden on you. And we have taken it too far by thinking that we are not wasting anything on our case, we are not wasting any investment, so why do we even bother? You see that? But if you are investing, you are taking money from your pocket to pay your ward fees and stuff, you will be very keen making sure that this child is actually yielding the fruit you are expecting the child to yield. But the government says, no, I have seen your problems. Let me come in and help you. So the best a parent could have done was to also ensure strict monitoring. But I tell you, most of these parents, ever since they have started this school, they have been there once or twice. Some even don't attend PTA meetings. Some even don't inquire how their ward is doing, the kind of friends they have in the school. So when the child goes there and gets easily peer pressurized, the child tends to misbehave. And the parents see that they are not investing in anything, so what? Let me tell you a classical example. When I went to Ahafo, I met some teachers, and I was discussing something with them that, so this is your school that you are in. How many times do parents visit their ward? The way they laughed at me, it was like I have asked a question I shouldn't have asked because I should have known better. Because according to them, even when they call PTA, the number of parents that come there is pathetic. So if you have 1,000 students, or let's say 500 students in a school, and you call a PTA and you have about 5-10% of parents representing those schools, how do you expect these children's lifestyle to be checked? Teachers cannot be anywhere at any time, even housemasters. They also have to sleep. So it is the parents who are supposed to ensure that if the burden of fees and other costs have been removed from their neck, then the discipline should emanate from them. So that the child knows that although my parent is not paying my fees, the eyes is on me.
That's interesting. So help me now. These are the causes, or these are some of the causes, but do we know the near future implication of what is happening, or do parents really appreciate what is about to happen?
Yes, my brother. Parents most of them don't know what is about to happen. Most of them are actually ignorant. And I'll give you the reason. You see, I always say that no government, when it comes to education, has a bad policy. But then, the policy will only work when all stakeholders play their role. As we speak now, I don't see parents envisaging what this thing can happen because it has happened in Konongo. So maybe my word is at Tepa. It has not happened there, so I am safe. All right? But it is time for parents to start cracking their whip on their word, making them aware that they are there for a purpose and not this kind of lifestyle. I am telling you, we've been hearing in the developed countries, a student has put a gun, shot the teacher, we've been hearing it in the news, of course. Not that they don't have counselors in the schools, not that they don't have, psychologists and all that. They even have all these structures in place. But why do these children go ahead and do that? You know, some behaviors are innate. It's inborn. It's human. It will come up when triggered. So we have to ensure that these things, even when they are triggered, you don't react to the extreme. And the only way to do that is when all of us play our role, when teachers play their role, when parents play their role, and then when the authorities in education also play their role. Do you know that there is something I've always been hearing when teachers say that now we don't cane the children when they go wrong. Why do you have to cane them? You don't have to cane them. There are several ways you can correct a behavior by not necessarily using a cane. I've been a teacher before. I used to cane. Those who know me will tell you, I used to cane. But the last time in a symposium, I said that if we had known, we wouldn't have caned that much. Because it didn't change anything. It only put fear in the kids. So when you are not there, they will do worse. So parents must also start monitoring their wards well. Visit them unannounced. Find out the kind of friends their wards are moving with. And I think when we see that, when they start seeing that this is a problem that we have to all tackle, the government will do its part, teachers will do their part, parents will do their part, and that child in the school, why are you there? Are you there because of homoing? Are you there just to misbehave? Of course, you are there for a purpose. You are there for certification. You are there to better your life. And all these children, they have to go through this counseling and talking to. That will help. Then we can have this thing minimized. Other than that, some of the students will be there, they say they have jumped the wall and have gone out to smoke weed. How? It is a behavior of human, but you have to put measures in place to curb this thing. It's human behavior, of course. When you put somebody in an enclosed place and is not used to that, you might want to get the freedom. But when there are rules, that ensures that even if you should do that, it should be minimal or you shouldn't do it at all. I think we can have a better society for all of us. Currently, what I heard at Konongo, I was disturbed. Why should just homoing let you pull something and stab a brother? For what?
Interesting.
What kind of homoing was that?
That's interesting. Thank you, Chris. Please stay on and let me engage a head teacher, regional executive member, Coalition of Concerned Teachers of Ghana, Mr. Akwa Johan George. Mr. Akwa, thank you very much for joining us on Decision Point. So I'm sure you've raised this concern and you are blaming the government of the growing in this.
First of all, let me correct the name. The name is Akwa Johan George and not Aqua.
All right. Thank you for the correction. So
the name is Aqua. My A is double A, not a single A.
Very well. Very well. Thank you. So
thank you very much.
So I am talking about indiscipline among students. And I know that you've had this discussion on other platform where you are blaming some restrictions by the GA as the cause of the indiscipline among students. Do you still hold that particular view, and why do you say that?
Yeah, first of all, let me send a heartwarming welcome to the listeners of Love FM. Eugene, I still stand by whatever I have said.
This is Nana Jantua.
Hello?
You are talking to Nana Jantua.
Nana Jantua, I still stand by whatever I am saying because it is this government of the day that brought this policy that the child in this school going age should not be punished because it is per the human rights that they are having or per the human rights that has been adopted by international community. But we shouldn't forget that first of all, we are Africans. We have our norms and our traditions as Africans. Nana, you agree with me that during our time, we were punished, we were disciplined, and we are not dead. Nothing has happened to us. So what has changed? And this is the result that we are getting. And even the Bible in Proverbs says that a child should be disciplined. A little spanking will correct him. And correction does not kill a child. It rather shapes him or her. But it is very sad that our government of this day has changed all the status quo and saying that the child has a right and said that the child should not be disciplined. And this is what is making our children very wayward. And they are becoming very delinquent. No control or nothing. Let us not forget that we are not Europeans, we are Africans, first of all. And for Africans, we have our culture and we have our tenets that we go through. Also, comparing ourselves to the Europeans have a system that even when the child is even taken away from the parent, the government even caters for the child more than the parent. Can it be said the same in Ghana now? The answer is no. So what are they talking about? We leave the children and they become wayward, they become drug users, drug abusers, and some of them, excuse my language, become armed robbers, rapists, and thieves.
And talking about...
Is it the society that we want to put in Ghana now?
All right, talking about drug abuse, we are showing a video on our Facebook wall where there is a young lady, a student, who is smoking like no one's business. I would want to employ listeners to join us on Facebook, LUV995, and see for yourself how a young lady together with some guys are smoking just like that. And these are Ghanaian students. And it's amazing that we should get there where they can do this freely, because it is something that you are even afraid to showcase it. But this is where they are smoking and videoing it for people to know that, look, they don't care, nothing will happen. Mr. Akwa, please continue.
Nana, in fact, when I look at this, I become very sad because per this, we have no future. And as I said, I blame the government of the day. Nana, honestly, what I'm saying is that they send out their children abroad, spend our hard-earned tax on their children to be given better education so that when they leave the scene, their children will continue to rule us. So that we, the poor farmers, the poor market women, that we pay the tax to them, we will still wallow in abject poverty. Yes, they are giving free education, but free education without any discipline is nothing to write home about. And looking at some of these things, Nana, I feel very sad that the country has no future.
Chris. Chris, are you online?
I'm here.
Great. So, well, to some people who would say it's not just about caning, because we have been caning us for the past 64 years. We have been punishing us, and it only brought out some group of students or people who became more timid, afraid to speak up, and it never helped that. Now, they are looking at developmental punishment instead of the normal kind of using cane and other hardcore methods to straighten up the child. Is it not a genuine concern that, look, the caning and all those kind of things that we used to do never helped us? It made us more timid. So we should find a very important and delicate and strategic form of punishing students rather than the conservative method.
Yes, my brother, as I said, the punishment should be the last resort. And my colleague at the other end made a very good submission, which I want to comment on. You see, the government was specific on caning. It was caning that a ban was placed on, not any other form of correction. It was the caning the ban was placed on. So are we saying that without caning, can't we find means to correct a delinquent behavior? Of course, there are several ways. There are several ways that we know. When teachers were going through training colleges, they learned all these things. So it is not just about the caning. Caning should be the last resort. What we should be concerned about is the kind of individual we want to develop. All right? It shouldn't be that we have to punish them by caning. The government was right by saying that I am banning caning. But he didn't say that the other forms of punishment don't do it. It was only caning. So when we are trying to raise concern, we should know that it is only based on caning. What I am concerned is that apart from caning, what other methods can we use to correct these behaviors? And that is what we should address as a nation. So the best way to go, I always say, is that all these stakeholders must play their role. A teacher who goes to class and children love the methodology and they are able to approach the teacher and then ask of any question, or even if they have problems, they speak to him or her, that teacher can affect a positive behavior. You see, you are showing a lady who was smoking like nobody's business. The question is, after the board or after this thing has gone viral and she has been identified in the school, what happened? What happened? That is what I'm saying. That from where we're coming from, of course, we are not Europeans, we are Africans. But if you can be fair to yourself, caning actually made you afraid. That is why you did certain things even when you don't understand it. Example, rote learning. If you're a teacher who always send cane to the class and cane your children over the least error, you only encourage rote learning, what we normally call chew and pour. And this child will finish, pour everything, and that is it. He can't apply it anywhere. But when we have a system that actually puts away this caning, this kind of intimidation, and then let the child or the student learn at his or her own pace, understand certain concepts about life, I think these things will be reduced. So let's just not focus so much on the ban on caning, but we should look for other methods to correct these behaviors. And I've always maintained, and I'll keep on fighting for the number of psychologists that we have trained in this country who are doing virtually nothing. They are home. Most of them are teaching different subjects in their schools. Set up guidance and counseling units, put these psychologists and these people in their schools, and let them talk to these children. And let's see if we will not have a change of this student behavior.
Interesting. As you kept on talking, I have an input from my boss, Mr. Kenansa, who is telling me right now from Accra that today a schoolgirl fought physically with a teacher and scratching the teacher's face. And how did we get here? And when these examples are given, I want to ask, is it that parental influence and upbringing is contributing to that indiscipline, or perhaps it was another form of socialization that got the child there?
Nana, you see, that's why I said that there is an adage that charity begins at home. A child's behavior is a reflection of what goes on at home. How many hours do these children spend with the teachers, even in the school, as compared to the hours they spend at home? So these behaviors are emanating from the home. That is why in my earlier submission, I said that if parents are neglecting their duties, then we are going to see worse things than this. It is not a matter of the teacher stopping caning. It's an issue of the parents refusing to play their role as responsible parents as they are supposed to. Can that child that fought the teacher fight the mother or the father? Can we make that investigation? If that is what the child is doing at home, then exactly that teacher, that child can do the same to the teacher. Another way, if you were a teacher or an instructor and you tend to lower your standard, engage in certain things with your students that are not supposed to, then expect this behavior. It's like a teacher having a girlfriend in a class. There is no way you can crack the whip on that child because you know that child can expose you. And even when the child insults you, you cannot do anything. That's why I say we all need this kind of education and enlightenment so we can play our roles as expected of us. People-teacher relationship, perfect. No moral relationship. That respect is there. Even if you don't use a cane, that respect is there. Parents also come in, ensure the strict upbringing of their children. As the child is going out, let the child know, since you can't insult me as your parent, since you can't fight me as your mom or your dad, make sure you give that respect to your colleagues and your teachers. When we have such a society, these things will be reduced. But when we neglect everything, teachers are neglecting a corrective measure because the government has banned caning. Parents think that, well, I have a free education now. Government says they shouldn't punish material, so the child can just go to school and come in anytime. Then we are heading towards doom.
Mr. Aqua, so based on that, you are still for caning, isn't it?
Nana, the good old book, which is the Bible that we all read, has stated categorically that spare the rod and spoil the child. Are we saying that we are wiser than God? God, in his own wisdom, knows that children can sometimes be very stubborn. So a little spanking. Now, I read a book on Professor Ali Majri about the African child. He said, and I quote, the African child behaves like a beast, and the little spanking will bring him back to normalcy and do the right thing. Nana, as I said, we are not Europeans. Neither are we Americans. We have our own norms and our own culture. Now, there are some children that even when you look at them with the corner of your eye, they know what you are talking about. But that is in the minimal. As I speak to you now, teachers in this country, their hands have been tied to their back. And the children have become so indisciplined by the directive that the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education has brought that they have abolished corporal punishment in this country as far as education is concerned. So the child is free to do anything. Just 3 days today, a school that I visited, the student was sharply dressed and was coming to the school. I told the student that if I were a policeman and there was a gun school, he would be the first person I will arrest. He's dressing. Now, you and I know that during our time, you dare not do that dressing.
That is why I always pay tribute to Dr. Rosalyn Joyce I during her time as Secretary for Education or Minister of Education. You dare not. You will be dismissed. The fortunate one was that you will be punished by your teacher or your housemaster. That one, even you are lucky. Now, what this current government and the ministry has brought, what is the motivation for the teacher to correct the child? You are telling me that when the child misbehaves, I should give him a book to write 100 sentences. I will never do this or that again. This is no punishment. And I beg to differ with my colleague on the other line that what we are doing, we are destroying the moral fiber of this country. And if care is not taken, I'm very scared, Nana, that one day we'll be there and these children will be take cutlass and be slashing even the teachers our truth. How can we correct these children now by this ruling? So my appeal is that as stakeholders in education, parents, teachers, the ministry, and everyone, we should sit down and redesign whatever we have done. It is never too late. Don't say that once I've brought this thing, when I withdraw, that means I'm defeated. No. We make mistakes and we correct them. What I am looking at is the future of this youth that we are breeding. Are we beginning to breed gangsters? That is $1 million question we have to ask ourselves.
Interesting. So if you are still for caning, if you are still for corporal punishment, I want to understand, over the past 64 years that we have adopted corporal punishment, how did it help our national development? Mr. Akwa, I'm referring to you.
Nana, let me be very frank. I take myself as an example. I remember when I was in secondary form 3. You know, French is a very difficult subject. I was caned severely by my French teacher, Mr. Kovner, and I always pay tribute to him. I thought he was doing me harm. But whenever I visit any Francophone country, at least the little French that he taught me, I'm able to express myself there. And per that, I cannot be molested nor be cheated. This is an example. Secondly, Nana, we say that teachers molest or beat children. Nana, they are in the minimal. And with this, I blame you, the media. When you hear 1 or 2 cases, you raise the cases high as if it is happening everywhere, which is wrong. It is when you take about 100 schools or 100 teachers, you get only 2% going to the extreme. And I believe that those 2%, if we educate them, at least it will go a long way. But totally abandoning that, I'm afraid we are heading for a doom. And I blame the politicians for this because, per my understanding, it is my opinion, I believe that they send their children abroad to be educated very well, to be disciplined, so that when they leave the scene, their children will continue to learn.
But you talk about who is
selling onions, garden eggs in KWADWO market, he will still be at the lower end. But if my child is disciplined, what I, the parent, am spending to educate my child, I know my child will be a better person. What I am seeing is that the government is intentionally destroying our children for their children to be better off than us. And that is very unfortunate, Nana.
Well, you talk about the fact that politicians are sending their awards to the developed countries to get discipline and training, but over there, they don't use corporal punishment. It's extinct.
Canada, for example. Do you know Canada is importing kids from Brazil to discipline their children?
But you talk about Canada, but there are other countries beyond Canada that they are not doing that. Finland is not doing that. Sweden is not doing that. USA is not doing that. China is not doing that. Germany is not doing that. So yes, Canada, you can make mention of that.
I said earlier that for there, the system is so they've modified their system in such a way that even if the parents are not taking care of the child, the state takes care of the child better than even the parent or the teacher. What about those of us in Africa? Does the government take care of our children very well as those countries that you've mentioned? The answer is no.
Chris.
Yes, my brother.
So, Mr. Akwa, speaks as a concerned head teacher and knows the importance of corporal punishment. And this will be the recipe to, limiting the indiscipline among our students. But you, as a trained teacher and as a psychologist, how do we respond to his call, and how do we balance it so that people who believe that corporal punishment is extinct and that we need to find other forms would also have their concerns justified?
Yes, in fact, Mr. Kwai is very passionate about his statement, and I share with him. I understand what he's saying, but the reason is that...
please, I don't hear my other colleague very well.
All right, Chris, continue.
Mr. Kwai, can you hear me now?
It's faith. If they
Hello.
Don't worry, I will summarize it for you. Don't worry. Chris, continue.
Yes, so what I'm trying to put across is that nobody said don't employ other form of corrective measures. For the caning, I think we'll have time to discuss this caning and other things which we can use to correct behavior. Caning is what is being taken out of the system, or a ban is being placed on. Even if it's not taken out entirely, there are rules that govern the caning to be made. It's not that it has been taken off completely. The second part
My
is
brother, it has been taken off completely.
Mr. Akwa, please allow him to make his point.
Mr.
Thank
Akwa,
you, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so we will have other discussions later on and we'll see it. But what I was trying to make us aware is that until parents start sitting their walls down and then imbibing in them how our society was caught, how our society is expected to be. Today, you can't compare the child of today to that of yesteryears. Why? Because on social media, they see a lot of things. And some of these things that they see, they tend to even practice it. You will see social media, they will put a female teacher beating a male teacher, and these children see it to be normal. Those years, we were not seeing these things anywhere. It's even a taboo for a child to see the teacher and just walk by. But today it seems to be normal. All is because at the home, these children were not made to understand that your elders are supposed to be accorded the leader respect no matter the height, the size, the color. That is the problem. That's where the problem comes from. And I'm relating it to the kind of responsibilities that are being eased on these parents. Because the government is sharing your responsibility, the financial aspect. What you can do, the only role you can play is to advise and monitor your child so that the child becomes what you want the child to be. You don't expect the Minister of Education to come to your home and advise your child. You don't expect the teacher to stay with the child from morning to evening. So that is where the problem is coming from. Some parents are neglecting their roles. As for the punishment, we will have a time and we'll talk about it, because me being a psychologist and as a teacher, I have always maintained that caning is not good. If you want to correct a behavior, it is not.
All right. So let me rope in Dr. Think Twice, and Esbemi, who is also societal pressure limitation advocate, and he is against the use of caning. Dr. Think Twice. So I have Mr. Akwa, who is a head teacher, a concerned teacher who is worried about the corporal punishment that had been removed from the books as a way to discipline our students. And Chris is also an educational psychologist. He believes that there are other forms that can be adapted to discipline the child. Now, what would be your position? Because you think that corporal punishment had never helped. However, we've experienced indiscipline in our schools. They say you are part of the people who are fueling all these indiscipline. How would you respond to that?
Thank you for inviting me. Many thanks to your listeners. I have been campaigning across the country that it's about time we need to sit down and plan. We don't have to give in to pressures. But unfortunately, society never listened to me.
Please wait.
We give birth based on societal pressure and religious pressures. That is one major factor. And so parents even don't have time for their kids. They don't have time to interact with their children.
Your call has
they
been
don't have
put on
time
hold.
to correct
Please
their
wait.
children. They don't have time to dialogue with their children. I wholly entirely disagree with corporal punishment. Now, I believe in dialogue. It's about time. You see, there are certain things probably, if I bring on board, society wouldn't buy that idea. But so far as we are all struggling in this modern era to contain a situation of child delinquency, child rebellion, I think it's about time. But when we look at things, parents never plan. Parents never plan before giving birth. Parents give birth based on societal pressure and religious pressures. When we talk about societal pressure, what will you marry, what will you give birth, etc. The religious pressure comes in, increase and multiply. The use of condoms and contraception is a sin. Now, nobody came from the moon or the ground, including teachers and politicians, etc. So, all these things that I've talked about, they have effects on the development of children, which at the end of the day, these very same children appear to become teachers. They become lecturers. They become politicians. They become MPs. They become police and fail the systems. Parents have failed. Society has failed the youth. Now it's about time. We need to dialogue with the children. Now, one of the tools that I recommend is that, please, I am pleading with the youth. No youth should rebel against the parent or an adult or an elderly person. But the immediate thing is a more psychological approach. Parents, call your children. Call them together. And say, my brothers, my son, my daughter, forgive me. I didn't plan before probably giving back to you. Let's begin to start with this. And the country will be at ease. Teachers and lecturers, all of them need to come together. You be the headmaster. There are times, go and eat with the children. Even the kind of clothes they've worn, they wear to the classes. You can sew some and also wear. Psychologically, you are attracting them. They feel that you are part of them. It's a unique approach. Do not tackle issues with KK. It does not help. It does not help. It does not help. Let's begin to adopt a more strategical approach.
Like what?
Yes, like in the schools. The KKKK. I am the headmaster. I am in authority. And the blah, 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 blah. Please, I am pleading with those in authority. All of us, let's calm down. Go down there as let the students feel like you are part of them. Eat with them. Dance with them. Then talk to them in a nice way. I'm telling you, there will be a change.
Interesting.
There will be a change. And within the parents should also start. All come together. Call your children in the homes. You say, my son, my daughter, come today, let's talk. Ask your children, what is it that you do that the children doesn't like it? They will talk, they will tell you, oh, mommy, when you do this, you do that. It is, so that we don't like it. Accept the fault and apologize to them. They are human beings. We see children as human beings, but we don't respect them. This is the problem we have in the country. Let's begin to re-strategize our approach. Like I'm still coming up. People should not give birth based on pressures and whatever, both socio-cultural and religion. Then when you study child behavior first, you give birth. It will make a lot of sense. Then you know that, oh, my child, these are some of the expectations. You'll be at ease, like a driver, a person going to drive, learning how to drive. You know how to apply the crutches, what to slow it down, what to run it faster, etc. It's about time. Both in the schools, headmasters, and whatever, within even the polytechnics, the universities. Lectures, I am appealing to you. Dialogue with the youth. Dialogue with them in a very nice manner. When they're having programs, be part of it. They feel that, yes, you're part of them. So when you talk, you tell them something. Oh, my brothers and sisters, sometimes you use your hand, you put it in their palms. Like, come on, give me 5. Come on, give me 5. Come on, give me 5. Parents can do it. Headmaster can do it. Head teachers can do it. Housemasters can do it. They feel that, yes, they are being loved. The KKKK wouldn't solve problems. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. The KKKK. Let's begin to dialogue with the youth. They know more than we do. I am appealing to parents and the teachers, headmasters, headmasters, etc. What the children know, we do not know. Me also KKKK. Go to the dining hall, eat with them, play with them. They will know that, yes, headmaster, headmistress, my mother, my father is part of me. I'm telling you, there will be a swift change of their behaviors.
Thank you, Dr. Ernest Bemi. We appreciate your time and for that.
Right now, I wish to be called Kwaku Danso.
All right.
Because I'm a Pan-Africanist.
All right. Thank you, Kwaku Danso.
Yes.
We appreciate your input. So, final word from Mr. Kwa, and then I'll give the final word to Chris. Then we'll cross over to Opoku Mensah. So, Mr. Kwa.
I never heard my senior brother.
So he is also against caning, but using a more friendly approach, talking to the students. It's more helpful than the use of corporal punishment.
Nana, I totally disagree with my brother on this occasion. How many talking have we not done to the students? As I said in my submission, I quoted late Professor Majuri, may he so rest in peace. He said, and I quote, "The African child behaves like a beast, and a little spanking will correct him and put him in shape." Now, The good old book, which is the Bible, says that spare the rod and spoil the child. Are we wiser than the Almighty God? The answer is certainly no. God himself knows that children sometimes are very stubborn. And a little rod will put them in shape. Nana, we that are standing here today, we are not dead. We were caged. We were punished. All with the motive to shape us to become responsible citizens. Here we are today, imparting knowledge. Let me tell you, there was a girl in my school about 10 years back. I saw something in the girl, but she was misbehaving. I took it upon myself to take care of the girl. She was into this nocturnal relationship. One day when I saw her, I disciplined her very well. Nana, it will interest you to know that the lady today is a military officer. And one day when she came to visit me, she told me that had it not been the discipline I gave to her, she would have even given birth and not have completed her education. What do you say of that also? The African child does not know what is pampering or talking to. The African child is very stubborn. What we have witnessed today at Konongo, are we happy to be witnessing it continuously? The answer is no. It is never too late to come back to the drawing board. To me, I believe the African child is not the type that is spoken to 1, 2, 3 to the head. A little spanking will put him or her on her toes. And I still stand by that. And I'll continue to blame our politicians for the woes we are getting into. If you cut my throat, I'll still stand by what I say. And until parents get up, Nana, as I'm speaking to you, teachers are now less concerned. They said they are not going to bother about our students or our pupils anymore. And that is the result we have had at Konongo Odumase. And if you are happy with that, fair be it. But they shouldn't forget that whatever we are sowing today, we will reap tomorrow.
So hold on and let me speak to Opoku Mensah, Deputy PRO Minister, Ministry of Education. Opoku, so we are back again because for you at the ministry, you believe that corporal punishment is extinct. But this is where the teachers are saying that the level of indiscipline is going up because you are not allowing the right thing to be done in the schools. Are you not worried with the level of indiscipline? And what do you think? Or perhaps you need to reconsider your position on corporal punishment, or?
Let me say a good evening to your lovely listeners and to yourself and to the good people of Ashanti region, specifically those in Kumasi. I think we are only rehearsing the previously held argument that was advanced on your network. I am not just a PR for a ministry, but I'm a teacher as well. And I'm a trained teacher, therefore a professional teacher. And I've had an experience at the basic level, and I've had an experience at the secondary school level as well. I've had an experience in using the cane, and I've had an experience in deciding not to use the cane again, and varied the results thereof to see whether there are positive elements in that. Nana, ahead of the last example that my colleague on the other side made in relation to a student he claimed he disciplined when he found out that he was in an extra premarital relationship. And therefore, the corporal punishment that was meted out to the student, that is what has resulted in the student being a military officer today. there are a couple of students as well who were never beaten or even subjected to that corporal punishment, but are doing well in our society today. So where do we draw the balance? The very abuse which we use in the name of corporal punishment, if muted out to any of us, we will run to the police and report that person to the police that we've been physically abused. So, in what evidence can we point out that until I strike my child or my student with a stick, that will put the child or the student on the right path? Are we to say that the unfortunate incident that took place at KWADWO Dumase becomes the basis to rehearse this same argument about corporal punishment? So what do we gain in studying in the class and putting fear in our students when we begin to strike our students in a manner that if the students were our child, we wouldn't have used that violence on them? 2 times 2, the student is unable to answer. Then the cane goes. So what are we seeking to achieve? Because if we talk of quality education, it is creating a conducive atmosphere for teaching and learning. So therefore, any form of intimidation is what we are preaching against. And Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education has never said anywhere that any other form of punishment apart from corporal punishment can't be muted out to our students. Let us not paint that picture, and let us not create that impression. Because I've been in a school where I was previously. Students were punished. Students were taken through due process in terms of punishment to serve as deterrent for others to follow. But the fact that the cane wasn't used does not mean that the kids are not controllable. The difference between a good teacher and that of the bad teacher has got to do with how classroom management is done. And my colleagues know this. For example, let's say in my class, anytime that you pass in front of my class, you will hear a student making noise, disturbing the whole school. But immediately I leave the class, the teacher who comes next, you realize that the classroom is so quiet, and you realize that the teacher wouldn't be having any cane with him or her. But yet still, the class is so quiet that even if a pen dropped, you could hear the sound. And the kids are paying attention to whatever the teacher is teaching. That is the variance between the two teachers. Classroom management. So you ask yourself, at what particular point should we use the cane on our students? So if we don't begin to understand the arguments from that angle, that we are creating a system that is devoid of that fear, that will enable the child come out freely, out of his heart and out of his free will, contribute to the teaching and learning process.
Right.
Then we are losing sight of what we are supposed to do. And nobody in our training colleges, teachers are not trained on the use of the cane. Let's ask ourselves, why don't we teach teachers in the training college on how to use the cane, but we teach them on the effect of using the cane on our students?
All right. So
the question comes back again. At what material moment will a cane be needed in disciplining the students? And the very action that we are complaining about, we come back into the society and we see worse. So does it mean that we should use the cane on our elders as well? So we need to balance the argument.
All right.
And to say that if we do away with the corporal punishment thing, then discipline on our campus will be worse off. I tend to disagree.
Okay.
That is my individual opinion.
All right. Mr. Akwa, a quick one. You wrap up on that, and then we'll finish up with Chris, and then the deputy PRO would also end with us. We just have 3 minutes for this. So quick one, 30 seconds on that.
I don't know where my senior brother, the deputy PRO, sought. If he has sought in a village, he would understand the situation we are in. Probably he was very fortunate to have been teaching in the city, and the chance he had become the deputy PRO for the Ministry of Education. Those of us that taught in core villages know what I'm talking about. And I use myself as an example always. And it's my deputy PRO saying that he is wiser than the good old book that we read. I know he's a Christian. And if he's not a Christian, he's a Muslim. He's a traditionalist. I say, first of all, let us know that we are Africans. We are not Europeans, for God's sake. And Africans, we have our culture. We have our beliefs. Why do we go and copy something that is alien to us? And in the end, it derails our culture. And that is what is destroying our country. And I'm telling the deputy PRO for the Ministry of Education, they are destroying our children if he doesn't know. Perhaps he has sent his children abroad to be educated. So he doesn't see what we are feeling on the ground. He is at headquarters. He doesn't know what is pertaining on the ground. We are on the field. And we are telling him what we are seeing. The children have become so indisciplined by the directive that they have brought. And it is hurting the teachers. And by this, when a student fails, you can't come and blame me.
All right.
So they should relook at what they have brought.
Okay.
Other than that, one day, we may end up laughing at the wrong side of our mouth.
All right, thank you. Chris, your final word.
Yes, Nana, thank you for the opportunity to answer again. I am still of the view as a psychologist that we need to find other means to correct these behaviors. For instance, something I did and it was working. A child in my class was very excellent. He was a good student. He was always first in class, but was a very, very true one. He comes to school twice a week. So during the final exam, chemistry was okay, biology was okay, everything was okay. I called the parents and I told them that, look, your word is excellent when it comes to class, but he's a true one. And I want to repeat him. So the board met, I gave them reasons. The parents insisted, remember the key word, the parents insisted that this child gets repeated. He was first in class, but he was repeated. He couldn't go to the next class. And since then, his life changed. So it doesn't mean you should just use the rod. Okay, Bible speaks proverbially. We shouldn't forget about that. We just don't take the surface meaning and try to make meaning out of it. It goes deeper than that.
All right.
As a psychologist, I will employ the ministry or the stakeholders, like I'm saying, let us play our roles. And since my PRO is there, please, they should think about setting up these kind of psychologists and counseling units in our school, not a teacher being labeled a guidance and counseling coordinator who doesn't know anything about guidance and counseling. Get those qualified people in our schools. Let them start interacting with these children, and we'll have a better society.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Opoku, just a minute on that.
My colleague who just spoke. For information, guidance and counseling is treated as part of the training college work that they do, and it's 6 credit hours. So they are taking through what guidance and counseling is, plus the psychological aspect of learning. And again, the geographical location of one has nothing to do with implementing a corporal punishment. It has no link to that. What we need to do as teachers, we teachers serve as motivation to the students. We are role models to the students. So therefore, if we begin to throw our hands in despair with the notion that our students cannot be controlled, then it tells that we are losing focus of what we are trained to do. And I want to encourage my teachers, especially the one who just spoke. I just left the classroom not more than 3 months ago. So I wouldn't be sitting somewhere and saying that I don't know what the things on the ground.
Probably you never taught in a typical village.
I thought, do you know in a Susu in Offenso? And Ministry of Offense is not in Kumasi.
I know that.
Good. So what are we talking about? The geographical location of one has nothing to do with what we intend to do in relation to this corporal punishment.
So, Opoku, you are not worried. Opoku, you are not worried that most teachers are demotivated. Hold on, Mr. Akwa, please. I'm just asking a question. Mr. Opoku, you are not worried that teachers are raising concerns about how these things are making the children or the students more indisciplined, and most of the teachers that we interact with, they are complaining that GS instruction not to, punish or penalize the students has created a lot of mess among the students. So you need to revisit these strategies. You still feel that nothing can be done about it?
Then I think there is a confusion somewhere. GS has never instructed anybody not to punish any student. But what we are saying is that do away with corporal punishment.
You have brought
and corporal punishment is not only the striking of a cane on a student, though. To the extent that you can even load blocks or whatever in the hands of a student and allow him to stand in the stand.
Thank you. 10 seconds, Opoku. 10 seconds.
All these, when you sit and you begin to analyze, you ask yourself, what is the positive element in whatever I'm doing? Please, what we need to do as teachers, we as role models in the society, should be able to stick to the positive process of disciplining our students.
All right.
Instead of focusing on one aspect, which is the corporal punishment, which has no bearing to academic performance or whatever.
Thank you.
So please, we need to go through the rudiments well, and I think Ghana Education Service should start having an in-service training.
All right, thank you.
To be able to shape in their skill and discipline.
All right, so that's the Deputy PRO for the Ministry of Education, Opoku Mensah. Well, the lines are active, so you can join the discussion. Decision Point on Love 99.5. My name is Nana Jantuah. So we're talking about indiscipline among students. Who must be blamed? 03220-835-96, 835-97, and 835-98. 03220-835-96, 835-97, 835-98. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, your name?
I'm Peter Fuku from Ebuakwa.
All right, decision point.
Yes, I do agree with the deputy minister and the psychologist. I'm surprised the conduct and behavior of the headmaster. He should learn a lot. Nowadays, the children are different of the children of yesteryears. They should come with practical and approachable situation where children will be able to understand the teachers. These teachers, as soon as a child make an offense, does something wrong, they sit down, insult the child, insult the parents, left and right. These teachers also turn around and then insult the government. Instead of them trying to teach the children, trying to draw them closer to them, explain certain things to them, they rather turn to the politicians and they turn the platform as political arena. Extortion of money from the parents.
Right.
All these and many more are the causes. The children turn around against the children and show total disrespect. But to me, I don't agree.
Thank you.
I don't like the children's.
All right, thank you. 03220-835-96, 835-97, and also Okay, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, your name?
My name is Ajua.
Ajua, you know, a decision point.
Yeah, I think the minister, is it a minister or?
Deputy PR for Ministry of Education.
Yeah, I think he has done justice to today's topic. Because, you can't say that caning is a culture of the African. If caning is a culture of the African, then why are we in school learning? English or those things that we learn, they are not our culture. So I think we should go by what the PRO is saying. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. You can also call us. All right. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're on air. Decision point.
Nana, my name is Abdul Rahman. I'm calling from Sakori Mampong.
Abdul, you're on air.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I think the way forward should be that we shouldn't turn the students against the teachers, neither the teachers against the students. We should get a table, a center situation where we can understand that as a society where we are coming from, corporal punishment or severe that kind of punishment or to students cannot be sustainable. But we should find means and ways for the students to understand that they need to learn, and then they need to understand certain situation that discipline as part of their upbringing is very important in their endeavors, even after school.
All right.
That's the way forward, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you. You can also call us 03220835. Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, your name. Hello, your name.
I'm Kofi calling from Kofi.
Okay, Kofi, decision point.
My brother, there is a saying that the lens you wear determines what you see. Indeed, we are not saying that as teachers, we are embedded to impose corporal punishment on the student. No. At times, it should be done in that way. But as a matter of fact, should the PRO for the Ministry of Education have been encountered with any incident of which the teachers are talking about, maybe it would have been served as a lesson to them in such a way that the rules and regulations, or let me say the policies that they have implemented into the teaching field, it is not actually helping. I'm saying that not all of them, but 70% of them not helping the teachers, regards to the students as well. So it would be good if we sit down and they look into it once again. The corrections that needs to be corrected, the mistake that needs to be corrected, they will correct them.
Okay.
That's the little thing I would say.
Thank you very much. Samuel, good evening. Hello, Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're on air. Decision point.
Yeah. Nana, I think, first of all, the first caller, I will plead with him. He called in the morning. He was blaming teachers for sleeping with students, and this evening he's blaming teachers for extorting monies. Please, we are not doing politics. We are looking at ways of reforming our students. It is serious. Look, if I tell you, you see, the students, they know very well, especially at the SS level. I am there, so I can talk for as far as that place is concerned. They know very well that if they have an issue with a student and it gets to the authorities, there is no way that the teacher will be exonerated. And therefore, the indiscipline is too much. Let me give you an example. I was teaching and a student was sleeping. I asked her, "Are you sick?" She said, "No." Then I said, "If you are not sick, you don't sleep in my class." This little girl looked at me and told me that if I joke, she will report me to the metro director. I don't care. Even when these things was not there, you hardly see me with a cane. I discussed it with another teacher who called this girl, asked her to kneel down, and this girl, look, it is on air. If I'm going to tell you what this girl said, you wouldn't believe. So from that day onwards, whenever I am teaching and she sleep, I encourage her to sleep.
All right. Thank you. Aite. All right. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, is that Aite?
This is Aite.
All right, quick one, please.
Thank you very much. Nana, the first caller should be very painstaking because you can't just say that teachers extort money from students. How much do they have? What money do teachers extort from them? Sometimes when you are coming to,
I want you to concentrate. Don't mind. Don't let him change the origin of the program.
Saying that you can lay block into the hands of the child and ask the child to stand in a stand rather. Now, Opoku Mensa have forgotten that the parent can later on come and say, my child is having eye problem because you allow the child to stand in the sun. Now, you can't deboardinize a student when a student misbehaves in the school or a boarding student misbehaves in the school. And again, you can neither give a indefinite suspension to any child or any student. So if you don't have code of conduct that regulates the activities of the students, why do you then prohibit teachers from, the old ways of correcting the students? Nana, I'm a teacher by profession. I know what we are going through. The students are so stubborn to the extent that even GS are saying that when during the instructional hours, you don't have to punish the child. And the instructional hours, it will continue, and maybe during the break time, the child is going to have his or her lunch. You can't stop the child too, because if out of it he faints, you the teacher are going to face whatever the consequence of it. So they should look at it again and allow us to punish them like the way we do, because we have all been through before.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Joel for that wonderful production, social media. I want to thank Eugene Osei Tutu, the fact checker, for that production. Apuzo, our executive producer, and to the Obolo, monitoring all the way in Accra. Mr. Kenansa, thank you very much for your input tonight. My name is Nana Jantuah. This has been Decision Point. So on Thursday, I will be here with another exciting edition of Decision Point. Good evening.